they outplayed us for a lot of the stretches of the game, which was, frustrating for a coach. But I think there's some things we can obviously learn from it, take from it. More turnovers than assists. But the start of the game with Zed's physicality was really important. I thought Zed was great on the glass, almost every loose ball. Really set a tone early that I think gave our team a real lift.
Chris, what will you focus more on when you break this down with your team? Will it be the fact that you did build a big lead and won handily, or will it be that it was essentially a tie game in the second half?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. I don't want to. I don't want to focus too much on the negatives, but the reality is I thought we had some really careless possessions offensively and defensively in the second half. We just didn't play as well. And give Charleston Southern credit. Barkley's kids played great there in the second half. But I think it'll be both. We'll look at both.
You touched on Zed, the way that he started that game. I don't know if that's replicable necessarily every night for him, but what do you challenge him with? What do you take from him playing the way that he did, especially to get that started?
I think that is motor. His defense and his defensive rebound is what we've been challenging with. I think he's one of the better offensive rebounding bigs I've coached. He does a great job getting to the weak side. He's physical. He's all 255, 260. He's got good hands and long arms. He's almost a 7'2" wingspan now. So, but we've challenged him with defensive effort across the board, better attention to detail than what he's had in the past 2 years. And defensive rebound, I think he's made strides in that area.
Chris, we heard a lot about Zed taking threes. Obviously, he did that a few times last game. Is this really what you guys need from him? Is dunks, rebounds, the paint stuff? Is that the main focus that Zed keeps bringing?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit too much made of the threes. I think he is going to shoot them, and he's going to shoot them when he has time and space, and he's proven in all of our shooting drills to be capable of making them. But that's not who he's not going to suddenly transform into a three-point shooting five man. He'll shoot them when there's opportunity and when he's available, and he's going to keep working on them. He's put a lot of work into aspects of his game. But yeah, this is who Zed is.
We just talked to Bryce too, and he said the same thing about you reset the score at halftime. This is a pretty tight game if you just look at the second half. What things did either your guys stop doing in the second half that made that happen, or what did Charleston Southern start doing in the second half that made it a little tighter?
Yeah, I just thought their two guards hurt us 12 and 13, and I thought they were able to get to some places off ball screens, and we just didn't handle some of those situations very well. And I just didn't think across the board. We need more guys to embrace the kind of defensive effort that certain guys have embraced. We just need more of that from more guys right now.
And how much progress do you think this team's made defensively since the beginning of practice to now, and how much more do you think there is to go?
Well, I'm anxious to see as we continue to play and evaluate that. It's a good question because I think it's something as coaches we're constantly trying to ask ourselves. I thought Charleston Southern just kind of missed some open shots early, but we had something to do with it. I think Ice's attention to detail has been. Isaac just has Isaac is really smart. And he is really good at playing angles and seeing angles. He's got great length, and he's defended some of the very best players in the country. So he just adds a real presence to us, and Bruce as well. But I think we've made some strides. We got a long way to go.
Chris, I know rebounding had been a bit of a concern in the exhibition and in the opener. Was this the kind of jump you wanted to see from your guys' side?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is that 33% at halftime of their misses back, and we mentioned that to our guys, and that's not the expectation for us. We'd like to be better than that. I think we did a little bit better job in the second half, keeping them off the glass. I just think it's going to be a constant, challenge for us. It does help when you have, Justice out there, again, just because he's such a good rebounder.
And I wanted to ask about Sean McNeil. It seems like he's pretty active on the defensive side of the court as well. We kind of know him as the shooter from West Virginia. What does he offer for you guys defensively?
Well, I think Sean's used to guys attacking him, teams attacking him, and I think he's taken good pride in his defense. He's got to continue to do that. You know, Sean's a kid that can move his feet. He can play angles well. He's an older, stronger kid. But I think that's going to be a constant for him, is he's got to really embrace that at a high level, because we can't be a good defensive team if he doesn't.
Chris, last year you said you wanted Zed to play a little bit more physical. Is that the potential of his physicality that we saw tonight? And if so, what plays kind of stood out to you in that regard?
Yeah, I think I want Zed to play. You know, he's typically a really physical player. He's a load in there. I mean, teams tell us that he's a big kid to handle. You know, my challenge for him is increasing physicality, and I want him to be just a more cerebral defender. And I think that's the big thing we've challenged him with.
Right, and there was a defensive possession in the second half where Bryce kind of was late on the closeout and kind of gave him a pat on the back as he's getting back on the offensive end. A couple minutes later, he comes down with a dunk. Just what kind of mental strength have you seen just from him as a young kid in these first two games?
You know, I really loved his approach, Bryce's approach, and his attitude, and he's just going to have to maintain that for a long season. I've loved his approach and his attitude. I think it's been really good. He understands that he's got a long ways to go as a player in certain areas. He embraces that and watches film with Coach Nettie on a regular basis, and it's been really good to see.
Coach, the first two games, Bruce hasn't exploded on offense or anything like that, but knocked down some free throws today. Ended up with 8 points. Was that good for his confidence and momentum? And then also your thoughts maybe on him, his ability to distribute the ball through two games. What you've seen? Yeah,
he's got a great feel. You know, Bruce is he is the consummate point guard. So when you look at maybe some guys that we've had here, he is that consummate point guard, and different maybe than even what we've had. Although I think C.J. Walker was that as well. But I think listen, I think the reality is Bruce is a very capable scorer. I think there's going to be nights where he's going to need to get us double figures, and he's going to be able to need to be able to read the defense and make the appropriate decisions and be ready to be aggressive.
Chris, when you have games like this where you get a big lead, you guys can kind of do what you want because you're the better team.
Yeah.
When you guys go back and watch the film, especially the young guys, how do you stress, okay, this isn't going to always fly in the Big Ten, in some of these games? Just how does that coaching work when it works in one game, but it's not going to work down the line? And some of these guys don't know that yet.
Just that. I think you make just those points. There are translatable plays in games like this, and there's certainly translatable effort. There is an effort required, to build a lead in a game like this that I think can serve you well moving forward. The problem is we didn't sustain it tonight, and that was the frustrating thing for us. So I think there's certainly some things that we can take from that, but yeah, there are plays that you get away with in some games when you're just a little bit bigger and stronger that will not be the case. An example, you can score off of 1 foot sometimes if you're just bigger than the guy in traffic, and we really stress playing off 2 feet in traffic, and sometimes that's a discipline kids have to learn.
Chris, I wanted to ask you after the first game about the way you guys shot the ball from 3, and now today, I'm glad I didn't. It seems like that might be an up and down thing for you this season. Have you seen that in the preseason? I assume your overall number is maybe what you expect, but the highs and the lows? Yeah,
I think that's valid to, maybe to have that question. I do think we'll be able to shoot the ball better than what we did tonight. Justice and missed a couple clean ones. The biggest thing right now is if guys are shooting clean looks. I think Roddy shot the ball really well. Bruce will make threes for us. Tanner will as well. And then obviously Bryce and Sean are terrific.
I just wonder, just like in general, when you have 2 wins like this the first week of the season, they're blowout wins, you've got guys that are doing really great things, and the crowds haven't been great just from an attendance standpoint. Is that something that factors into your viewpoint at all as you're sitting here right now, that you've done done what you're supposed to do these first two games. You've played a lot of guys. There's been some highlights, and crowds haven't been there. Does that bother you?
Well, I thought, yeah, I loved our students in game one. I thought our students were phenomenal. You know, somebody said the other day, it's been 8 or 10 years the fastest we've ever sold student tickets. And I tend to look at it that way, Adam. I just get great appreciation for what our, obviously it's different now. That was the first game where they get student tickets. But, you know, our focus is really controlling and putting a team on the floor and a product on the floor that people will enjoy watching. And I think as they familiarize themselves with our team, they certainly will.
Let's finish up with Jack.
Chris, after the first time out in the first half, it seemed like Charleston Southern kind of added some aggression to the defense. They were starting to give you more full court looks. They were blitzing off of screens and stuff. For Bruce, you know, it felt like he was still kind of comfortable in those situations. How much have you kind of challenged him in practice and put him in those kind of situations to prepare him for moments like that?
He came really well coached, played at a really high level of high school, and we identified him early on. Jake did a great job recruiting him. He's a poised kid. He's a poised kid. There aren't too many situations that he's really smart. There's not too many situations that are gonna rattle him. All right, thanks guys.